Hi, my name is Kwon from South Korea, and this is a review of a movie Lord of War through my own understanding of a film. I'd like to share the ideas and thoughts through commenting, so don't hesitate to comment anything you come up with after my review. Then now I will be talking about the short summary of a whole movie. This film is based off actual events in Lord of War. Director Andrew Niccol elaborately drew the shadowy wars of illegal arms trafficking through a life of person, Nicolas Cage, who acted Yuri Orlov, the main character, the protagonist. This was a global catastrophe that has claimed millions of lives since the end of the Cold War. In order to understand this movie fully, there are crucial historical events and background knowledges we should know and be aware. I'd like to talk about three things about it, and the first thing is about the Cold War. The Cold War was the period of political conflict and military tension and proxy wars, which I'm going to explain a little bit later, and economic competition after World War II. It was primarily between the Soviet Union and Western world, which is the United States. This has led worldwide brutal massacre, including other countries like Vietnam, Korea, Afghanistan, Middle East, Latin America, and Africa, as appeared in this movie, the nation Liberia. Those are proxy wars. Those are the countries that are used in proxy wars. That means the war of third parties that are used in conflict between the United States and Soviet Union. So it basically means the United States and Soviet Union, those opposing powers, use the third parties as substitute for fighting each other directly. Second, Liberia, the Edge of Hell. The background of this movie took place during the post-Cold War, and one of the most violent war zones of post-Cold War was in West Africa, in Liberia, as it appeared as main place in this movie. Liberia was one of the nations used in proxy war, as I previously mentioned, and since the extreme violence spread all over the Liberia, this place was called the Edge of Hell. Liberia was an ally of the United States during the Cold War and a co-facilitator of revolution in 1980. Since then, the United States and Liberia have had a long-standing special relationship. Lastly, there are three important characters we should watch carefully who are based on the real figure. The first one is Victor Bout. Victor Bout was a former Soviet military officer and he's considered world's largest arms trafficker. And Yuri Orlov's character is based on Victor Bout. And second character is Andrew Baptist. He is king of Liberia in this movie, and he is partly based on Charles Taylor, the president of Liberia until 2003. And the character of Colonel Oliver Sutton is evidently hinting of Oliver North, who is also notorious for arms trafficking. Now, let's get into this movie more deeply. Throughout the whole movie, the comparison between Yuri and Yuri's brother is very obvious, and the relationship between two is like evil and good. Really, who can represent good? He takes care of Yuri with all of his heart, even though he knows what he is doing. But the evil, Yuri, even at the moment of his brother's death, he was focused on his evil's work. And they have totally opposite personality. Yuri is macho, and he's somehow emotionally secure, not in positive way though, and he's brutal and impersonal. Vitaly, however, he's insecure and loving, and he tries to be a human being. And this comparison can be described as evil and good, as I just mentioned before. We should see how it had been coexisted and struggled with each other, and how it ended up being. To understand this point, let's talk about how good versus evil appeared in this movie through Vitaly and Yuri. Vitaly worked as a cook in his family's restaurant beginning of the scene. He put a sign, "Beware of dog," in his workplace so that he would be reminded that he wanted to live like good human being, not like animal. But Yuri told him, even dog inside you is part of you, that means human being has that. This little beginning scene even clearly shows their differences, and it foreshadows how they would go very different and the conflicts they would face. Just like evil is tempting and we are tempted by it, Willie somehow agreed to join his arm dealing. Let's hold on a second here. What does drug addiction means for Vitaly? I think Vitaly's drug addiction shows the goodness that hasn't completely agreed with evil's work, because it's struggling not to follow. He tried to find his conscience in conflict. He was almost going to be like evil, as if he agreed to hold hand together with evil's work, but eventually it's never acceptable for him. For good. It can be seen as a simple drug addiction that happened to Vitaly, but it obviously shows something in Vitaly's mind, in his conscience, and in his morality. The good in him is struggling to set his right place. We can notice it when Vitaly secondly went to West's home for addicts. He told him, "Be careful, what you're doing can kill you, inside your soul." Even after taking drugs, he told him. And then the addiction made him stop doing the work with him, and Yuri started doing work alone. The consequences may prove that drug addiction made Vitaly escaped from working with a brother, the evil's work. But at this point, the good lost power to take control on evil. After that, Vitaly seemed not to care what Yuri was doing, but as he put the little gun, in the room of the little son of Yuri, he tried to send the message again. And with other reasons, Yuri seemed to stop doing the arm dealing. But Yuri asked Vitaly again to make the last deal in Liberia, and this time Yuri agreed to do so. But that's not because good is failed by evil. When Vitaly got to see innocent people dying in Liberia because of all those arms, he devastated half of the arms to save other people who has no sin. He may not have time to think that it would kill him, but that's how justice, the goodness, work in one's heart when it's strongly alive. Even at the last moment of his death, he tried to save other lives by trying to devastating a left arm in his hand. And that's the most part that shows how humanity and goodness works in extreme evil. Through the comparison with Brother and Yuri till the end, we are asked lots of questions as a human being who may be able to distinguish what's right and what is wrong. And we are still left to figure out. There might be someone who asks this way, so does evil prevail over good eventually? Even if he proclaimed himself as necessary evil and he never get out of his evil work, we can clearly see how it ruined his life. But he's told that evil is still necessary. That's an irony that we should think and we should figure out. It's like Yuri says in the film, it's not our war, and no matter what we do, we can't stop it. And that's true. It's like smoking kills people every day, but there are people who run cigarette companies every day knowing that they are killing people every single day and getting people addicted to something that in the end will kill them. Is it moral? What can we do to stop it? These are questions this film asks and leaves it to the viewers and us to decide on.